It's thick and hearty, folks.
Yeah.
It's like the Dentimore stew of the breast.
It truly is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, here we go. That was ridiculous. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's a Friday edition here on Zero Block 30, and today we have 6 rounds on the magazine. Round number 1. It's always cocktail season down at Mar-a-Lago, but one disgruntled veteran tossed some smoke bomb cocktails at the resort because they were upset about the stimulus checks. They're upset about it. Round number 2. Snake it till you make it, they said. Don't be a dirty little rat, they said. They didn't say anything about dropping 2,000 mice with a belly full of Tylenol from a plane so snakes would eat them, though. Wonder why. Round number 3.
That round pretty much just explains itself.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, just a normal little round number 2 we're going to have. Round number 3, the Army is trying to become the Air Force. Scons has some serious explaining to do if he's not in a food coma after eating at the Warrior restaurant. Round number 4, I fucking hate DFAS. That's it. That's the round.
That's the description.
Yeah, round number 5. I wish a motherfucker would makes a return to the podcast because an Army Ranger stopped a shotgun carrying thief during a casual little Sunday brunch. And now he's a warrant officer. Round number 6. I sat down with a Navy doctor who was on the ground for the bloodiest battle of the Iraq War. He is named Dr. Wilkes, and he tells me what it was like for him and why he wrote the book Code Red Fallujah. Did you order the Code Red? You're going to after this interview.
Oh, man.
And all of that is going to be brought to you by our friends who are keeping your balls, your cooch, your labia, your butthole all good to go during this tournament season. If you want to be feeling good during the tournament with a little bit of trimming, make sure you go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code 0. You're going to get an exclusive offer, which is 20% off free shipping by going to manscaped.com. Your bracket isn't supposed to be perfect, but with Manscaped, your balls are going to look beautiful. So will your nose hair, so will your ear hair, all those hairs that you have in places that you don't want to talk about at parties. They have the Weed Whacker ear nose trimmer. It provides a proprietary skin-safe technology which helps reduce the risk of nicks, snags, tugs, and all those delicate places. Because honest to God, the testicles are like the forehead of Ric Flair during a wrestling match in 1988, where you barely touch them, you barely nick them, and it is going to bleed for hours.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was an excellent reference.
You hear that all the time.
Yeah, that's why they call the old testicles the Ric Flair of the groin.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Make sure you go manscaped.com. Use the promo code 0 there. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping. And they have a We Save Balls initiative, which is beautiful as well because everybody loves testicles.
I sure do.
Yeah.
We all know you do.
Uh-huh.
Yep. All right.
They're a hoot.
Let's get started with the show. All right. So Kate's here.
Still here.
I honest to God thought this was going to be the one that you were out for.
So did I. And I thought, because I puked yesterday morning and I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling like heavier because you get these little fake contractions. I'm like, I'm getting a ton of them.
Braxton Hicks is what they call those in the biz.
They do. Braxton Hicks. I'm like, I'm getting a bunch of these. I feel really
Braxton
sick.
Hicks?
He was a doctor in the 1800s.
He was do you know who he was actually trained by?
No.
Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
He was. Yes. He also wears hair and braids. He was a big guy.
Sully, the whole squad.
Well, I went today and to get another appointment. And this was supposed to be the last appointment. She's like, last week, she was like, I'll probably see you having the baby before this one. But
see, they can't tell you that. Doctors can't tell because then you expect it.
I
she's supposed to know. She's supposed to know.
You're the smart one in the room here. You're supposed to have all the answers.
Well, let me tell you, today I was having a Braxton Hicks as she went to like check me. And she's like, oh, well, maybe you're a little dilated or something. I don't care if this is TMI. The doctor like reaches in there and can feel how dilated you are. She was like feeling around like she couldn't find
and they
whatever.
Concentrate. They usually like have their eyes closed.
Yeah, she was like digging around in there like she was looking for her wristwatch or something. And I was like, oh my God. Like,
she was digging around in there like
and the worst part is that what they're looking for, the name of what they're looking for is disgusting.
The mucus plug.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mucus plug. I don't know why we're not calling it a baby stopper or something like that, or a baby cork.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Because it looks like mucus. That's the reason why. It looks like you had a bloody nose and you sneezed it out.
it's a giant, it's a big old clam ball. Well, anyway, she like went in there so hard. She goes, "Oh, you feel this? I'm tickling the top of your baby's head right now." That's how far in she was.
Whoa.
And I was like,
were you jealous? Like that she got to touch your baby before you?
a little bit. I was
That's
like, what the
fucked up.
fuck? I know.
Yeah.
She got to tickle his little head. Yeah, it was.
You better watch her. If she starts doing skin to skin, you might have
Yeah.
a real situation on your hands.
Yeah, I was like, is she stealing my baby right now? Is she trying to steal my
You should
baby?
call her a bitch.
Yeah, I almost did because it hurt.
Get
I'll
your
tell
hands
ya.
off my son, you bitch.
Well, then, so if I don't have the baby by next week, they stick like a birthday, like a clown when they show up with a long, skinny birthday balloon and they like
Oh, yeah.
flip it
Slide
into a
whistle.
dog. They stick a slide whistle balloon in there and they blow it up. I'm just learning a lot. And a man stands there with a slide whistle as it's happening. It's like, so there's a lot going on. And then can I say one more thing that's happening in my life right now?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
A couple days ago, I also do Out and About podcast, the LGBTQ podcast at Barstool with Gay Pat and a couple Boston Pat, as I call him. And a couple days ago now, the Grammys are long since over, but a couple days ago, we were talking about Harry Styles and his performance of Watermelon Sugar, which have you guys heard the song and seen the video?
Yeah, of course.
I've heard the song, never seen the video.
Man,
Okay.
we don't watch videos enough as a society anymore.
Well,
We need to bring back TRL.
In the video, he's dressed, he's like real sexy with all these beautiful women, and he's chopping up these watermelons and he's licking them like he's licking a pussy. He's fingering the little
Whoa.
seeds. Like it's
That was
very
a hard pussy drop there.
yeah, puss. He's sucking the puss off this watermelon.
He was
But, like,
licking her clam.
and even before the song came out, watermelon sugar was in the dictionary as that's what they call it's I'm gonna say it pre-cum. Like they call it, some people call it watermelon sugar, and lady cum is like watermelon sugar is what they. So yes, it's a sexual song, and so he was like wearing the boa. He was looking sexy at the Grammys. So I said he looks like a man who knows how to fuck.
Mhm.
Is that so wrong? Is that objectifying?
That's not a diss in
Is that
any
not a
way,
compliment?
shape, or form.
So I said that man looks like you could put any kind of person, man, woman, whatever, in front of him, and he looks like he would know, like, I can get this person off. Like he's just a sexual being. Well,
I mean, he made Olivia Wilde like leave her husband.
exactly. So this little video clip of me saying that on the Out and About pod goes out. Days and days go by, nothing happens. It gets like 2 likes, whatever. I don't think anything of it. I leave the doctor's office today, like limping because she was just like tickling my baby's head. I'm like, I'm walking out of the hospital. I open my phone and
Sounded like you just got hit in the chest with a football.
yeah, mom.
I can't breathe. I'm dying. That's one of the scariest things ever. The first time you get the wind knocked out of you and you don't know
forget
what's
it.
going
You think
on.
you're dead. Yeah.
Mom, get dad, get somebody, get dad.
Can't breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm doing that as I'm leaving the hospital. I'm like, "Ugh." And I open up my phone. And I'm like, what the fuck? I have like a
Harry
million.
Styles fans going crazy.
Yes, I'm getting ratioed for like the first time ever on Twitter. Like at first it was like a couple, and then all of a sudden the notifications, I click my phone, it's like 100, 200, 500. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Harry Styles Twitter has found it, and they're like, you fucking bitch, you are objectifying an artist. He is an artist. And I'm like, the song's about eating pussy, dude. What are you talking about?
You don't respect the art, apparently. What is his fan base called? Does his fan base have a name?
Harry Styles.
I would say the stylist, right? He's got-
The stylist,
there
the
you go. If
stylistics
it's
or
not,
something.
It should be.
I've just never been attacked by a fan mob before, and it's happening now. And it's like, oh my God, they're really.
Oh yeah, when you stir up the business with some of those crazy fans, I had Tom Cruise Twitter came out.
What?
Oh yeah, when I was
Well, that's
talking
not
shit
just
about
Tom Cruise.
Scientologists, they
Yeah,
were
I was
like,
gonna say.
Wow.
You're dealing with the whole Church of Scientology there.
Well, now I know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of an army. I know Kyle got attacked by the BTS, like the K-pop army before. So like,
that's the worst one too, because those people are vicious.
yeah, they
All
went
hours
after
of the
Kyle's
day,
looks.
too. From Korea. Yeah, they
I would
took
say BTS is really bad, and also the Beehive. Beyonce's fan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What
But I
about
just-
Pete Davidson Twitter? Is Pete,
Yeah, and the
how's
Monsters.
Yeah,
Davidson?
Pete Davidson's. They came at me a little bit, and Ariana Grande's fans. Both of them.
You're right.
I got both.
Yeah.
I had
You
both
got-
Davidson and Ariana Grande's at the same time.
And
Lest
you
we forget.
also had whatever that disorder is. A lot of people with Crohn's disease were mad at you too.
Oh yeah, like
'Cause the
buddy,
butthole eyes.
I have diarrhea more often than anyone that's tweeting at me right now. So
But anyways, if you're, I just am getting attacked by like a military force on Twitter right now by Harry Styles fans. Hundreds and hundreds of them. They're just relentless, and they're making me feel like I'm a sexual predator or something.
you know who looks like a sexual predator? The
Sheesh.
fellow that we're going to talk about in round number 1.
Thanks.
He is a 38-year-old military veteran who tossed a smoke bomb outside former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida because he was upset he had not received a stimulus check, according to a report. His name is Paul Brantley Rawls of West Palm Beach. He faces multiple charges, including making, possessing, throwing, or discharging any destructive device, criminal mischief, and disorderly conduct. The U.S. Secret Service and Palm Beach police responded Sunday afternoon to a report of a smoking and smoldering device on South Ocean Boulevard, where 2 cars crashed while trying to avoid the device. I can't imagine a smoke grenade is something that the Secret Service looks fondly upon.
No, they probably
found
frown
on that.
Yeah.
Unless it's a fun color. Unless it's a fun color.
Yeah, if it's like red, maybe they're festive about it. I don't know.
Right.
Do you
Green for
guys
St.
like
Patty's.
those type of fireworks that you light them and it's just like a smoke bomb?
Dude, we used to mess around with smoke bombs all the time growing up. You'd put them in like Gatorade bottles or you throw them. There was no harm to them. And actually, you know what I do now, just for fun, is sometimes I'll have smoke bombs, and if we're having a fire, just throw a few smoke bombs in the fire. So the smoke is a different color.
You got to be careful
Ooh.
though. It'll stain your hoodie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good
Mhm.
point.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're wearing like a white hoodie, you don't want that to happen at
No.
all. But this bomb turned out to be a 7.5-inch fused incendiary device that was called a 5-minute white smoke made by Pyro U, which I believe is based out of Utah. No, wait, that's Utah State and Provo.
Right. Mhm.
Different. Pyro U. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office bomb squad was deployed to look for additional devices. See, that's what, as a bomb dog handler, I fucking hate this kind of stuff. When you clearly know this is not an explosive device. Clearly. It's a smoke bomb. You know what a
Yeah.
smoke bomb is. We used to get called out middle of the night. My Nextel would start going off and be like, hey, we got a suspicious package. Like, what is it? They'd be like, okay, over by OCS, there was a backpack that's left by the bleachers. I'm like, you guys think it's suspicious and not just a backpack that happened to be left by the fucking bleachers where hundreds of students are located every day? That you think it's just somebody wants to blow up the aluminum bleachers in the middle of nowhere. Like that, of all the places on Quantico, it's not going to be CIA. It's not going to be the DEA. It's not going to be the FBI Academy. It's going to be the metal aluminum bleachers. That is the target.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have like Afghan EOD, who they're like, oh, that's a bomb, all right, but we're not waiting, and they'll just start clipping and kicking away. You're like, oh my god, holy shit! But
Yeah, so the surveillance footage showed someone in a gray Volkswagen throwing the device out the car window. Police traced the license plate to Rawls, who told the cops. And if we have any attorneys on the phone that are listening, give us some advice here, because I believe our friend Rawls, who is a veteran, who spent a little while in the service, he needs some legal advice. Because
and he wouldn't have made it far in SEER school with this next part.
No. So the cops got a hold of him. And his first words to, I know the real reason why you guys want to talk to me. I know why I'm here. It's because I threw the smoke bomb. It's all on video.
Yeah, you're not gonna. You don't want to be captured with that guy. Yeah,
No.
It was us. We are American.
Yeah,
We're the
that was
And
enemy.
us.
oddly
trying to
enough,
overthrow
they
your
tracked his phone, and every time his phone rang for the last week, that's how he answered the phone. He didn't even wait for him to identify his police.
Listen, that was me. I'm sorry. I just really like smoke bombs. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what was the end game here? Like, what's a smoke bomb going to do to anybody? I don't understand.
And spoiler alert, Trump's not president anymore. So
Right.
It's officially not his fault.
Right. Yeah.
I just really, anytime someone brings him up at this point, I just think the Simpsons gif when they're just saying, stop, he's already dead. He's not He's not in 1600 Pennsylvania Ave anymore. Let him go live his life. You can still hate him.
The only time I bring it up is when people say, now Biden's in charge. Oh, God. And look at if it was something that was started before, like what we talked about with the maternity flight suits.
Right.
Joe Biden didn't come into office 2 months ago and was like, you motherfuckers better get on the sewing machine right damn now. It's priority number one. It's been something that's going on for a bit. So let's pump the brakes there for a little bit. But they found more smoke bombs. They found 9 more smoke bombs, 4 flares, and 4 5-minute white smoke devices, a 12-foot expandable hook, nylon rope, and black gloves in his car, according to the report. Ross told investigator he's a combat veteran and former airborne ranger who has been struggling since being discharged. No shit.
No shit.
Since he's a chatty Cathy, I kind of want to ask him, hey, so what was the plan with the expandable hook, nylon rope, and the black gloves? What were we going to do with those?
If the last 2 paragraphs of the article are an indication, he'll tell you. Like, you just got to ask him.
Yeah, exactly.
All the smoke devices were supposed to give him extra razzle on his last jump as a ranger and airborne, and they didn't let him use it, so he's disgruntled.
And the hook was for it to use like it was the showtime at the Apollo. If he was doing a very bad job with the smoke bomb there, just pull him off stage.
This reminds me, you guys ever see that movie, You, Me, and Dupree?
Mm-hmm.
He's at the end. He's throwing 7 different kinds of smoke. Our guy here is throwing 9 different kinds of smoke. So I want to know what those other different kinds of smoke, what he was planning to do.
One of my favorite lines from that movie is when Owen Wilson, he's like, why would he want me to get a vasectomy? What? Why would he want me to get a vasectomy? I lost it in that part. That's good. Let's move on to round number 2, which is quite the story. It's really new, too, folks. This is a news story that happened in 2013. Kate, walk us through what's going on with our 2000 mice friends.
Yeah, throughout the week, we all see different military stories, and we'll send it to whoever is doing the sheet that week. And I saw this story, and I was like, chaps, I got a good one for you. Caveat, it's from 2013, but it's got animals. Put it on the sheet.
It's perfectly fine. I don't think we should cover any stories from like mid 2016 to now, because we had the podcast. And if we missed 2,000 mice getting their bellies full of Tylenol, that would be dereliction of duty on our parts. But since this one is before the podcast, it's cleared hot. We could talk about it.
Okay. But let's get in the 2013 mind space, everybody. We Can't Stop by Miley Cyrus had just come out. Wake Me Up by Avicii had just come out. Katy Perry's Roar. Okay. Justin Timberlake was singing about his suit and tie.
What are you doing with your hands?
I'm magically
Austin Power Fingers.
Yeah, I'm taking us back to 2013.
Wayne's World.
Yeah. Those are the You, Me, and Dupree fingers. Yeah, I'm taking us back to 2013. So here we go. They floated down from the sky Sunday, 2,000 mice wafting on tiny cardboard parachutes over Anderson Air Force Base.
That's so goddamn cute.
I know. This is it.
You think so? Wait until it goes down a little more.
Yeah. So Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. But the rodent commandos did not know they were on a mission to help eradicate the brown tree snake, an invasive species that had caused millions of dollars in wildlife and commercial losses since it arrived a few decades ago. That's because they were dead and pumped full of painkillers. All those little mice that were coming down from the sky, dead.
They say painkillers, and it makes me think like Tylenol with codeine or morphine.
Or like a good one, like little Vicodins. At least they got to go out partying or something. But no, just little. The unlikely invasion was
glow sticks and shit.
Yeah, and this is not the first time.
Listening to Avicii.
Yeah. So wake me up when it's all over. Oh, fuck, it's a snake. The unlikely invasion was the 4th and biggest rodent air assault so far, part of an $8 million U.S. program approved in February of 2013 to eradicate the snakes and save the exotic native birds that are their favorite snack food.
I like how they just skip over the fact this is the 4th time they did this. Like it's worked the other 3 times.
Yeah. Well, it's not just birds the government's trying to protect. It's also money. Like other Anderson Air Force Base, like other large industrial complexes on the Western Pacific Island, is regularly bedeviled by power failures because snakes wiggle their way into the electric substations. Oh, fuck no. An average of 80 a year, costing Guam $4 million in annual repairs and loss of productivity. Holy shit. Fuck that. No, thank you.
Yesterday I had to turn off the water to my house, my new house. I open up that thing. There was a skeleton of a snake that was like 5 feet long.
Mm.
Bro, you need to move.
No,
I opened it up and I was like, mother of God, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
That's
and
terrible.
I've seen people's computers sometimes get tiny little snakes in the old PCs. I remember seeing pictures of that. Well, the US has tried lots of ways to eliminate the snakes, which it says likely arrived in the 1950s on cargo and just started fucking shit up on Guam. They tried snake traps, snake sniffing dogs, snake hunting inspectors with or without the scooter sticks. They've all helped control the population, but the snakes have proved especially hardy and now infest the entire island. Guam is home to an estimated 2 million of the reptiles. Holy fuck. 13,000 per square mile. These snakes. 13,000 per square mile.
Because think about what Guam's temperature is like. It is humid. It's hot all the time. It's essentially a legit breeding ground for snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. But here's the thing. They found that these brown tree snakes have an Achilles heel, Tylenol.
And it's actually not the Achilles heel because they don't have heels.
They don't even have legs. Who wrote
Or
this?
Achilles.
My God. Yeah. And they have an Achilles slurpy tongue. Good one, Kate. This is why you're in the biz. It's Tylenol. For some reason, the snakes are almost uniquely sensitive to acetaminophen, the active ingredient in the ubiquitous over-the-counter painkiller.
You could say acetaminophen, but you can't pronounce a 6-digit number. It's unbelievable.
No, don't ask how many milligrams. If you can get a tree snake to eat just 80 milligrams, thank God, you can kill it. That's only about 1/6 of a standard pill.
I know you're hungry.
Yeah.
Here you go.
If you were a pig or a dog, you'd have to eat about 500 of these mice to get the lethal dose. But the snakes just need one, and they love mice. So it's easy to bait them with the Tylenol-filled dead mice.
That article said that, and they love mice. Yes.
Yeah, no shit. It's a snake. They also love crawling on their bellies, it turns out, these snakes, these brown
and they
snakes.
love to just have their little tongue touch the water. It is. I always say I hate snakes. When they drink water, it's adorable.
Cute as a button. Yes,
It's so
I'll
cute that
agree.
They have just a tiny little mouth just slurping it all up.
I agree. Well, so anyways, these helicopters, you join the military, you see the commercials, you're like, we're gonna be doing badass stuff. Nope, you're flying a helicopter, low altitude, just pumped full of dead mice that are pumped full of Tylenol over the base's forested areas,
Imagine
dropping.
getting on that helicopter and looking in the back and seeing like cardboard covered. You're like, what the heck?
What is this? What the heck?
What?
What are all these?
What?
Are these tiny
things?
parachutes?
Huh?
What the
We're
heck?
on this mission with
Little parachute? The mice? No
what's
moving?
that little lump in their belly? Is that
Is this a Disney
acetaminophen?
movie?
The
Yeah,
heck?
acetaminophen in their belly?
80 milligrams? What the heck?
I
What?
bet that'll kill a snake. Maybe
What
they
the-
need, they need 500 for a dog, but what
Whoa.
do do for a snake?
Well,
I wonder
Well,
if they get any
each-
videos of these snakes drinking water.
each mouse is laced with the little bit of Tylenol and then strung up to 2 pieces of cardboard and a little piece of green tissue paper. That's the homemade. Imagine, too, your job in the military is making tiny mice parachutes to get rid of snakes. Like, that's your job. This reminded me of the movie Twister when they make
Yes.
the Pepsi can.
For Dorothy.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tiny little Pepsi can. Like,
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this, they didn't actually put this in the article, but whenever they were flying, they actually listened to the soundtrack from Fantasia.
they did. Yes, they did. They absolutely did. But yeah, it's pretty
Those have
interesting.
gone before us.
The mice float down and then the little parachutes get caught up in the canopy of the trees. And then the snakes are like, oh shit, look at these free meals up in the trees. Look at these dead mice. It's like they're growing from the
Stupid
trees.
Snakes, like you don't suspect anything.
Yeah,
Right.
because
All
here's
of
what
a
I was
sudden, they
thinking.
just show
Now,
up on a
these
cardboard piece.
trees-
Why would they, like, they have instincts to know how to catch these mice normally if they're just walking around? Wouldn't they be a little suspicious if they just come upon a mouse and it's just
Well,
laying
it's kind
there?
of like us, Cons. Like if I'm going behind, let's say I'm walking behind like a Whole Foods and I see one of the workers throw out a big thing of yogurt and it's still cold, I might get some of that yogurt.
Oh, one time at a wedding after the reception, I was walking stumble in the hotel hallway and somebody else we didn't know, not from a wedding party, from some other hotel room, had a tray of sandwiches outside of it. You
Oh,
better
you gotta-
believe
Yeah, you got to
Oh.
get those sandwiches.
that tray was
I-
back
who
in my
among us?
room.
It's like
Oh my
living in
God.
base housing on base. If you're a kid that lives in base housing and you're not dumpster diving when your friends move to see what the kind of shit they're throwing out,
Right.
you missed out. I was
Exactly.
always doing that. I would come home with new Hot Wheels, new Nerf guns, new footballs and stuff all the time.
Yeah. Well, in closing, some of these snakes, how do they keep track of it? They have tiny little transmitting radios on their dead bodies as well. And so they're like, oh, this snake just got ate, whatever, how many, I don't know.
If you got millions of these snakes, 2,000 mice not going to cut it.
That's not
those
even
are rookie numbers.
Yeah.
We gotta pump those numbers up. Get as many mice as you can. Maybe have like a deal with PetSmart or something.
Maybe get like some mice recruiters out there.
Whoa. Time out, everyone.
Oh.
Big update. Newsweek, just this week, 21 hours ago, because our story that we just read is from 2013, they just tweeted about this. And the headline of the Newsweek title, fact check, is the Pentagon spending $15 million a year to kill brown tree snakes on Guam. Let me do a quick scroll. By the way, Guam's hot in the news right now because Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't know that they were U.S. territory. Anyways,
something tells me there's a lot that she doesn't know.
Yeah, like everything.
Yeah, so that's okay. But let me see. The facts, the brown tree snake. Oh, and by the way, everybody on Guam, all the native people of Guam were just enjoying Guam. It was us during World War II that brought that fucking snake.
Do you know what the people of Guam are called?
No.
Guamanian.
Well, so
That's
let me
fun.
see here. They're still another method. Yeah, they're still 5.2 million, not 15 million. 5.2 million a year. Oh,
Excellent
no,
update. Let's move on to round number 3, which is going to be brought to you by our good friends at 3G. Just earlier today, there was an article that was going around from Stars and Stripes, I believe, that talked about how PTSD is not affected by marijuana and that people recover just as fast as if they're using a placebo. No shit. It's not meant to be a cure. Just like you wouldn't take one Tylenol and think that you're never going to get a headache again. You don't smoke weed and think my PTSD is going to be gone forever. It's like getting rid of a headache so you can sleep for a little while. And if you want to experience it through the federally legal version of THC, which is Delta 8 THC products that was started by our friends at 3Chi. They are the best at it. I love their products. Go to 3chi.com. That's 3chi.com. And they're at retailers around the country now. You must be 21 to purchase. Remember, this is it's not CBD. It's psychoactive. It'll give you a buzz. So please use it responsibly. Again, and I want to say, when you go to that website, they have these little vape pens that you can get. Order like 3 of those fuckers, because if you're like me, you're going to lose those bitches. Like, even though they're a pretty good size, I fall asleep with it by my pillow without question. I knock it off behind my bed, and my bed is so heavy, I can't move it. Like, there's no way I can move it. So when I finally move next week, I'm going to have like 8 more vape pens that I find. I'm just going to have like a whole kit and caboodle that I'm going to put all over my house. You should do the same thing too. Go to 3chi.com. That's 3chi.com. Use the promo code ZBT2021. At checkout, you're going to receive 5% off your order. Make sure you try it. If you haven't tried it yet and you're wanting to, now is the time to do it. Round number 3. This one comes to us from Stars and Stripes as well. Base cafeterias will always be chow halls for many. Did you guys call it chow hall, or you call it mess hall?
Well, we have the mess hall where back at school, but in the Army we have DFAS.
DFAS, that's right. So you have DFAS. The Air Force calls it dining facilities. The Marines call it chow hall, and then the Navy calls it the galley, is what they call it. But now they're moving on from that, and the Army is introducing a new name to their lexicon. It's the Warrior Restaurant, which they're doing a lot of warrior goofing in the Army. There's actually, Kate was going to the VA recently, and one of her appointments, where was it at again, Kate?
The Warrior OBGYN.
Yeah.
To get my warrior vagina poked. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually had to go to an appointment last week where they gave me a warrior colostomy bag, which was really fucked up.
That was
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's camo. They said the brown stuff mixes in that you can't hardly see. But in an effort to change how how and what soldiers eat, the service has began rebranding its dining facilities, modernizing them, and upgrading their offerings to prioritize fresh and frozen ingredients over heavily processed foods. Warrior Restaurant is the preferred nomenclature, said Sergeant Major Kent Fuska of the Army's Joint Culinary Center of Excellence. Get the fuck out of here with that name. The Joint Culinary Center of Excellence? How about the Warrior Joint Service?
No, the JCCE, otherwise known as Juice.
Oh, the Juice, yeah.
Oh,
that's actually pretty awesome.
Another Sergeant Major, Jason Towns, he's like everybody else. He said, I just miss calling it the DFAS. It's still a challenge to remember to call it a Warrior Restaurant. They have these, why change something? I could see, like what Fort Bragg, change the name of Fort Bragg, change the names of things that have like Confederate soldiers or Confederate Army folks. Like I can understand changing those longstanding traditions. There's nothing offensive about a DFAS. Don't change it.
You can make these upgrades without changing the name. This is like the very definition of the Winnie the Pooh meme. DFAS, and then he's in the tux, and then it's Warrior Restaurant.
You're exactly right. Yep.
Well, also, I think it's humiliating. Because even if you were in the most high-speed unit in the Army, you become a little bitch when you go to the the Warrior Restaurant, and it's like lasagna and Jello day. You get excited. You're like, oh, fucking lasagna and Jello day. Like
Right.
Everybody's a little bitch in the chow hall. Okay, everybody gets excited about little shit. You're not a fucking. No one's a warrior in there.
Would you think that the military is the greatest consumer of Jello in the modern world?
Yes, still.
Jello?
Oh yeah.
Military and hospitals. I was
going to say hospitals would be the only other one I could think of.
But we have military hospitals too that are filled.
Wait. What about the United States Greek system at colleges and
but they only do it during football season primarily. Maybe during March Madness. So we do it year round. You constantly try to get that Jello. But they go on to say, after a 4-day training event with the Florida-based chef, Fort Hood culinary specialist served up samples of vegan breakfast burritos and with scrambled tofu, vegan spelt pancakes, topped with fresh berry stuffed avocado and quinoa salad, and pan-seared teriyaki tofu steak with couscous and grilled asparagus. Get that out of my face. Vegan breakfast burrito? Ugh. Vegan... Yeah. I understand if somebody is a vegetarian and they value animals and things like that and they don't want to eat any animals, great. Being a vegan is just gross.
Why?
The things that you eat as a vegan, people are like, this vegan butter tastes like butter. The fuck out of here. No, it doesn't. Taste like ass.
Tastes like ass.
Everything. I've never had a single good vegan bacon. Like, oh, it tastes just like. No, it doesn't.
No.
If it did taste just like that, we would make it. That's what it would have been originally.
I'm all about eating well and eating healthy, but not at the cost of getting rid of that stuff that we all love that tastes so good.
Quinoa tastes like butthole. Like it is.
I actually like quinoa.
No, but you gotta really church that up. You gotta really sexy it. You can't.
That's true. I'm not just
you
eating
can't
a
just
bowl
put
of
it in a
quinoa.
pot and make some fucking quinoa. And you got to put all kinds of stuff in there to make.
That's
it.
fair.
Well, I
that's
guess
fair.
It's like regular oatmeal. Nobody likes plain oatmeal.
No.
I guess it was lost on me that they're calling it now. They're calling them warrior restaurants to help people lose weight. So when you're in the war, so this is what I'm getting out of it is that's the point.
So
when you're in the warrior restaurant, you have to remember, oh yeah, I'm a warrior. I shouldn't get this Jello. I shouldn't get this Nutella. I shouldn't do whatever.
Fat PFC winner is going to go in there and be like, oh,
wait a minute.
Now I can't get double pizzas.
If this was still called a DFAS, I would have gotten another pizza, but I'm a warrior, as reminded to me by the name of this restaurant, Warrior Restaurant.
I don't care what you've done in combat, you always feel like a loser when somebody calls you a warrior.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's always
it's like very
joke.
Patronizing. It's very patronizing.
Right. Like it's almost like that same in World War II being called Devil Dog, huge accomplishment.
Oh, now it's like in the Army, if you want to really insult someone, like, hey, what are you doing there, high speed?
Right. That's what I'm saying. This is humiliating. It's to call it a fucking warrior restaurant is humiliating because no matter how badass you are, everyone becomes a little bitch. And that when you see there's only like 2 more hamsters left and you're third in line, I don't care how badass you are. You're like, oh, inside. You're like, oh, no. Oh.
Don't you touch that hamster.
Don't you could have like 70 combat kills and that's fuck. Last hamster. I'm going to
Which I think is justified. If you are planning on getting a cordon bleu and you don't get one.
Oh, man. That's that. You want to talk about? I don't care how fat or skinny I am. You crush my morale like that. Mm-hmm. There's no coming back from it.
I want to ask you guys off the cuff. Kyle, we'll start with you. Your all-time, while you were in, favorite warrior restaurant that you got to go to.
That's tough.
I'm gonna start calling it warrior restaurant now. Big time.
So, Conus, it's got to be 41 area Chow Hall on Camp Pendleton. The breakfast burritos. I'd take a UA charge just walking away from anyone talking to me to go get a breakfast burrito from the fine folks at Sodexo. And then, Manis, Kyrgyzstan, just
king size candy bars at Manis.
Oh yeah.
King size.
Yeah. Wow. Shout out Tucker who threw Radical Larry's over the HESCO barrier. But yeah, Manis with steak every day, and then you had real milk. They had real milk.
Milk.
You don't get real milk in at least not where we were in Afghanistan, because it spoils and shit. Yeah. So you get like that box stuff. It's not bad. That stuff's
terrible.
Your first bowl of Lucky Charms with some real milk. Who, buddy. Yeah. Those are mine.
Cons, what about you?
Conus, definitely the West Point Mess Hall.
Yes.
Where they bring you your food.
Every single table had no less. I'm still blown away by this. We went to the Army Navy game. Every single of the 1,000 tables had no less than 20 different condiment options on it.
You got to be prepared for any and all meals.
What and name brand, like A1 steak sauce shit.
Yes. Thank you, taxpayers.
What the fuck? We paid for that?
Yeah. You pay for everything that we get.
Stole some of it.
We paid to create content.
You shouldn't be able to be charged with.
It's all of your faults. I am the way that I am.
I'm going to start picketing. I'm going to start picketing outside.
No responsibility for that whatsoever.
Oh my God.
We funded him.
Yeah.
So West Point.
And then overseas Talil Air Base in Iraq. I would go to the sandwich station and get a wrap, and it was almost a challenge to see if I could order so much stuff on this wrap to prevent them from being able to close it. But by golly, every time they were able to get that wrap going, and it was perfect every time. And I can't say enough about that. And also, breakfast, you get an omelet. They must have used 12 eggs in each individual omelet for how big those things were. Unbelievable.
I'm not a big omelet fan.
Oh, I love them.
Oh.
I love them.
Kate?
What is Kyle? Was the one you're talking about the burritos by the airfield? Because we would go out of our way on Pendleton to go to this one.
No,
we would no.
It was Las Flores, which was in the middle of nowhere. It was in the by the Reaper.
We would go to the one by the airfield. Also did breakfast burritos.
Yeah.
And after PT, it'd be like, just spray yourself and look like you showered, because instead of showering, we're going to go get these fucking burritos before we have to be at work. We would rush our tails 15 minutes out of the way to get them. And then any of the DFAS in Afghanistan, whenever they had ice cream, they had real ice cream somehow, which was rare, but every now and then they would have it. And again, you'd come back from being outside the wire or whatever, and you're feeling like King Dingling. And then you're like, oh, they got strawberry, they got pecan. Oh, you're once again, you're a little bitch. 2 seconds later, you're like, oh God.
Well, that's one of the only things that you have that makes you happy is a good meal.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When I was out on my cop, when it was chicken nugget night, we were over the moon.
Oh yeah. It's the little
chicken
things,
nuggets.
man.
Yeah, man, they'll get you. My favorite one here at Lackland, when I was an instructor, there was a place called the Blue Bonnet Cafe, and they had unbelievable cheesesteaks. And they would cook them fresh on the hot iron skillet, right in front of you, and they were delicious. We would get those, and then deployed. By far, when I went from Fallujah to Al-Assad on my way out, that chow hall in Al-Assad was enormous. And they had these fresh apple turnovers that they would make, like breakfast apple turnovers that were as big as like a plate. They were huge and so fluffy and soft. And then inside just the perfect amount of like the apple jam that goes in there with very little of the apple chunks is what I don't like in apple pie.
Right.
It was so good.
I think there's such a misconception out there probably that, you know, when we're in Iraq and Afghanistan, I don't think I ever went to any DFAC and thought it was bad. They're all really pretty good.
I got triggered last night. I started watching 60 Days In, that show where folks will go into like county lockup for 60 days. One of the guys was a Marine. Another woman was a spouse of a Navy dude. And they were talking about the food in jail. And the guy was like, it's just so insulting that the food that we have to eat deployed is so much worse than what they're eating in jail. It's like, shut up. Just shut up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like of course it is. Like if you're talking about a remote area in fucking Afghanistan, yes, it's difficult for the government to get out. You're not going to be having Outback there, fella. Like you're not going to get a sweet potato with butter and cinnamon on it.
We can't get a Burger King out there to that face of that mountain. Sorry about it. Did you guys in the Marines, did your DFACs have midnight chow?
Oh yeah. Mid-rats.
Yep.
Man, that was the best. That was the best, right? Because you'd have breakfast, lunch, dinner at whatever times. And then whatever your schedule was, sometimes it just dictated that it'd be 2 a.m. and you were very hungry. And gosh, midnight chow was fantastic.
Nothing was. We would always roll back. Like recon always came back in the middle of the night. If we didn't make it back before 3 a.m. when mid-rats was over,
heartbreaking.
The morale of like the convoy going in. If we got on base, because we had to do like our post like checks and do all like the offload and everything. If we pulled into the gate and it was like later than 2 a.m., everybody would be so defeated. There was one time we were coming around an area that we actually talk about in the interview that you'll hear in round number 6. It was the Cloverleaf area. And whenever you were going around that, you're very close being back to Camp Fallujah. And we were maybe 15 minutes outside of the Cloverleaf area. And it was like 23:30. So we should have had an hour and a half to move 15, maybe 15 minutes of movement, but there's a suspected IED on the middle of the road. And so we had to wait because we were outside of the area where combat engineers would come. It had to only be EOD because it was so close to the base. And I was like begging the battalion commander on the horn. I was like, I'll go do it myself. just give me the authorization. I'll get out of the vehicle. Me and Psycho will go. If it is, I'll put a shape charge and we'll blast it in place and we'll just move forward. And the battalion commander was like, what's your motivation, Double Dog? Like over the radio, I was like, I just want mid-ret so bad. We had been out for like 2 weeks. I was like, I just want mid-ret, sir. And he was like, I do too, but I can't let you do it. But you could hear like the pain in his voice where he's like,
got it. Yeah,
I really want to say yes, but it's not wise for me to send this fucking young corporal out there just so he could get a personal pan pizza.
All right, kiddo, get out there. Go ahead.
What if I came back? I was missing a limb. Like, what happened? Like, well, I really wanted mid-rats and didn't want to wait for EOD because it takes fucking forever.
Was it worth it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I just would have strapped up my Rocky boots and headed on out there. You should strap on your Rocky boots too. They're built for the men and women that serve to protect the country. They are designed and built for each of the U.S. Military branches. They have recently sided with the Marine Corps, which is rare because not very many companies get to do that because we are very controlling of our little trademark that we have with the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. But Rocky Boots has it. RockyBoots.com and the promo code ZBT at checkout for 25% off your next pair of boots. And I got the full out endorsement. I've been having a bunch of construction dudes working on my house. I was wearing my Rocky boots outside. The guy stopped me. He's like, what kind of boots are those? Those look good. And I said, oh, they got a steel toe too, and hit it. And he was like, oh man, I need to get some of those. I gave him the promo code. He's not even a listener. I don't think he's ever listened to a podcast before in his life. In fact, I know that he hasn't because I told him that I hosted a podcast. He handed me his phone and he was looking for it. He's like, I can't find it in iTunes. It's because he was looking in the App Store. like he wasn't looking in the podcast app. Like, that's how you know he's not a big podcast guy. You people that are listening, clearly podcast guys and ladies, make sure you go to rockyboots.com and the promo code ZBT at checkout. You're going to get 25% off your next pair of boots. Moving on to round number 4, the bane of so many people's existence while they are in the military is the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, also known as DFAS. And it is...
I thought it was called Warrior Monies.
Yeah, Warrior Monies is what it's called.
Yeah.
Cons, explain what the process is for DFAS, like signing into it. Do you remember?
No, but I know you do. So why don't you just have at it?
I still use it because I have to do like TRICARE and shit. So they have these, you have to have your name, right? Which is normal. And it's like your first dot last name. And then you have to come up with the password. And it's one of those sites where the password has to be like, all right, tweak your left nipple, touch your ear, touch your keyboard a couple times, spin around, do a capital letter, do a special letter. It's just an insane amount of combination. You can only keep it for 60 days, and then you have to change it again. Remember your old one, type in your new one. It's just a fucking process. And then after you have that done, you have to pick one of 20 different pictures to go along with it. That's the secondary thing. Now they're adding a third level of security so people can't get in. If you can get into somebody's to make them a medical appointment, you deserve it. Like, you just deserve to do it. Now they're going to make it even more complicated because they're going to have a third two-factor authentication.
That's definitely not the word you're looking for.
Authentication.
Yeah.
And they will be
authentication.
Wait a minute. No.
Authentication.
No. Authentication.
Yep, that's
What are
right.
you reading?
Warrior authentication.
Yeah, I think that's a typo. It's oh my God.
There's
now.
an authentication word though that we're missing. Authentication.
Well, everyone using the DFAS website to access their military pay records via the MyPay program is now going to have to add a third one. This isn't really a story that deserves a whole lot of attention. I just want to say this is bullshit. It's bullshit. Just give me a finger, a thumbprint, a tongue print, an eye print, a dick print, something else besides all these layers of proof. I don't care if people know when I have to go to the fucking colonoscopy person again. I don't care. If you want to know what my medical records are, I'll tell you. I have no privacy in that at all. Just stop making me constantly reset my password. It makes me so upset.
Not to mention military pay. That's public record. You know, when I was a captain, you want to see what I was making?
We don't want to know how much you pay.
Google
Dude, it's on a fucking chart.
Yeah, it's on a chart. It's not this isn't a TS clearance required number here. I'm not Jamie Dimon. You're not going to get in there and find a boatload of money. You want to get in there and look around? Go for it.
It's not like you're going to be Daryl in the warehouse on The Office making more money than the boss. Everybody knows how much everybody else makes. There's nothing secret about it. There's
now, let me ask you a question. This is a little outside the story here, but certainly related. Now, obviously, there are different factors that will adjust how you are paid, be it dependents, be it if you live on post, off post. Do you think that affects, or is it really just start and end with rank? But do you think that affects how people look at one another when they know what the other person makes?
For sure. Yeah,
right.
I definitely like the way that you treat somebody. Like if you're friends with somebody and you've never like gone to their house or you've never like really went out with them. There was one of my buddies that I used to talk to on Twitter all the time. He was a big Jags fan too. I went back to Jacksonville. He's like, hey, let's meet out for dinner. So we went out to dinner and he's like, do you need a ride back to your hotel? Because I took an Uber there. My wife and kids were back at the hotel. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. I get in his car. It's fucking Maybach. And it's like 100,000 plus car. And I was like, what do you do, man? And he's like, oh, I own this huge seafood company. And I was like, oh.
Well, I mean, yes, obviously, I obviously in real life, I meant just strictly in the military, like knowing what people make in the military, knowing what the pay scale is.
Well, I think that's going to change drastically. Did you see that the Air Force had recently authorized that their pilots can get bonuses up to $450,000 for re-signing? Yes.
That's a significant amount of money.
$450,000 for highly trained pilots. They get huge bonuses. One of the guys I used to work with, his wife was she was an army doctor, and she would routinely get like $25,000-$30,000 quarterly bonus for them to stay in.
Wow. Okay. That's just a random thought I had. I guess,
which I think is how it should be. You can't, like, if you, no offense to anybody that's like a supply officer, but a supply officer and somebody who's fucking flying an F-35 or has that level of skill set, the person that has the high skill should be paid more than the person who's organizing the fucking supply room.
Yeah. And then, well, that was the other thing that used to get me so annoyed too. And Kate, if you need to just pop up and take a lap, feel free. You look like you're a little uncomfortable.
Money talk. It involves numbers, so I zoned out.
I just meant like if I would look at another lieutenant and, you know, I work and I grind and I work long hours and I do the best I can for my platoon. And then I look at the other lieutenant in the battery and he's a complete dirtbag. And knowing that we get paid the same amount of money, that always kind of stuck in my craw.
Yeah, that shit fucking pissed me off too. When somebody that was my same rank making the same money and they were fucking garbage.
Turd bags.
I used to hate that too. Yeah. All right, let's move on to round number 5. What do we got, Kate?
Well, just remember though that maybe you're working as harder than somebody making the same as you, but in the long run, that means you'll end up doing better somehow.
Probably.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So remember, keep plugging away. Mm-hmm. Round number 5, Staff Sergeant Russell Ruth was hungry one Sunday morning in 2019. So he went to his usual spot across the street from his Savannah, Georgia home to meet.
Do you know what he was called when he was 6 weeks old?
Baby Ruth.
That's right.
Baby Ruth. He also, his name had a prominent spot in the Goonies, I think. Baby Ruth. Staff Sergeant Russell Ruth was hungry one Sunday morning. So
hopefully he doesn't have a lisp. That would be terrible.
Yeah. Staff Sergeant Russell Ruth was hungry one Sunday morning in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. 2,000 mice floating through that thing. Well, he was down in Savannah ordering bacon, eggs, and grits.
Staff Sergeant Ruth is actually a parcel tongue.
Yeah, he really is. So old parcel tongue Staff Sergeant Baby Russell Ruth goes down he's in Savannah, Georgia, where he's stationed. He goes to brunch and a big thing goes down, but a little background. After enlisting out of high school in 2011, he spent the past 8 years serving with 1st Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment at Hunter Army Airfield in Savannah. But he'd submitted a flight package and had been accepted. In a few short months, he'd trade stripes for warrant officer bars, flying a helicopter instead of humping with a rucksack. Nearing noontime on March 24th, 2019, he was chatting up his 2 friends at Brewer's Sports Pub and Grill, a local strip mall type restaurant where the Pensacola, Florida native went for meals and brunch and watch games, stuff like that. And big University of Georgia bar. I don't know why that's important, but it's in the story. Anyways, he's ready to dig into breakfast when Ruth suddenly heard something from the back of the restaurant.
What the heck?
He was like, what the heck?
What's all the quiet?
What the hell? What the heck? I heard a scream in the back. I didn't know what it was. Then I heard another scream, Ruth told the Army Times. One of the service staff came running from the back towards the dining area, wide-eyed in terror, and she tripped and fell. The 6th combat deployment veteran recognized the fear and panic when he saw it and knew something was terribly wrong. So he looked to the rear of the restaurant and saw a masked man waving a sawed-off shotgun, yelling, This is a robbery.
Nobody move.
Exactly. And that's exactly how he said it. That's a sound clip from the restaurant. The man disappeared around the hallway corner with the restaurant owner, kind of taking him hostage, it sounds like. Ruth.
See, that's when you know when the robber is already fucked up. He said nobody moves. Ruth didn't care.
Ruth did not care. And this Ruth had I wish a motherfucker would. Ruth is the wrong guy to fuck around with, it sounds like. He quickly stood up, told everyone to leave, shuffled 9 other patrons and staff out the front entrance, made sure they got across the street, and then, unarmed, ran towards the screams. Ruth thought he saw signs that the shotgun-toting robber looked nervous. He worried for the owner alone in the back with him and thought if he could get an open path, he might be able to disarm the guy. He crept along the short hallway a couple of feet, peered around the corner, taking an angle to see if he could identify what was going on.
Went with turkey peeked around the corner.
I was going to say pieing. He pied it off a little bit. Ruth had done that maneuver countless times in close quarter shooting drills, but in those drills, he had a gun. Keep in mind, he has nothing. The robber was standing in the doorway to the restaurant owner's office, his back turned. Ruth seized that moment, hurled himself forward, and landed a solid punch to the man's head, knocking him to the ground and briefly unconscious. The staff sergeant then pounced, covering the man to keep him down and separate from his weapon. That's when the robber's unseen partner, who was inside the office, fired a 9mm into Ruth's side. It entered his chest and exited his back, he would later learn. But guess what? I wish a motherfucker would. Ruth didn't even feel it, but knew he'd been struck. The shooter grabbed his friend, and the pair fled out the back of the restaurant, leaving behind the shotgun and a hat that the downed man had worn. The staff sergeant, too, fled the office, running out an exit where his friends and fellow diners waited in a huddle. I'm holding my side, hunched over, thinking, okay, I have a collapsed lung. He knew the pain was getting bad.
So nonchalant.
Yeah.
I think I have a collapsed lung.
I think I have a collapsed lung. The bullet,
Did you guys bring my plate of eggs and grits out?
Yeah.
Pretty hungry still.
I wouldn't be surprised to see this badass still eating eggs and grits while waiting for the ambulance. Ruth told the crowd his lung was punctured, showed them where to apply pressure, and called an ambulance before he passed out. He did his own fucking triage before he passed out.
What a badass.
In the crowd was a nurse and Navy veteran who Ruth credits helping him stay alive until emergency responders could arrive. Through 5 Afghanistan and 1 Iraq deployments, Ruth had been in contact, seen rounds fired, but never been hit himself. He spent the next few weeks in a hospital bed, questions swirling, and credited his training and experiences with high-stress situations for the actions he took, and likely for his survival. In hindsight, Ruth said he didn't think confronting the shotgun-wielding robber unarmed. He didn't think about it. He just acted. He heard the screams. He ran towards them. But when he recovered, probably sitting there in the hospital bed, a lot of like, oh, actually, that could have gone really wrong. Wow. Yeah, a lot
probably
of thoughts.
talking to his mom.
Yeah. You know what?
Like,
sorry,
what the
Mom.
fuck are you thinking?
Yeah. The result of his actions were clear, however. He may have saved the life of the owner of the restaurant, not to mention fellow patrons and staff in the restaurant. The shotgun left behind helped recover DNA evidence, and along with video, helped link 2 of the men with the crime. He had a long road to recovery, which seemed slow at the time until he linked up with some fellow special operators, competes in the 2019 Warrior Games only 3 months after being shot in the lung.
Pretty good.
Holy shit. I mean,
so he did all this other stuff. He did rehab and went on to go. Now he is a pilot for helicopters, and he is Warrant Officer 1, Ruth, now, and he's training at Fort Rucker, Alabama, where he's still going on helicopter training, which is pretty incredible.
Badass.
As for the 2 dudes who were involved in shooting him, they are spending the next decade in prison, which doesn't seem as good as flying helicopters.
No, definitely not.
In my opinion.
You better not interrupt my breakfast. But I'm just picturing this guy like 10 years from now sitting at a pool with, his family and friends, and he takes his shirt off, and there's a big, scar where he was shot, and somebody looks over and is like, Afghanistan? He's like, no, Brewers.
Yeah.
Brewers. Yeah.
What a great story, though. I mean, it's awesome that there is that element of so many veterans because it's been going on 20 years now, of people, you never know who's going to be in a restaurant that could take you the fuck out. It's like that same adage that now half the people in the world know jujitsu.
Yeah, it's like, don't get in bar fights.
You can't get in a bar fight because it could be a little pipsqueak looking motherfucker who's been taking Muay Thai and jujitsu since they were fucking breathing, since the doctor was touching them through the mucus plug.
The baby cork? Yeah, man. I say something else. Because he lives like right near the Staff Sergeant Russell Ruth. Brewer Sports Pub, that's free beers for life, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime he goes in there, I can see like somebody handing him the check and the staff being like, no.
I tell you what, though, I get this. Because listen, here's the deal. They said it's around noon. So he probably had himself a night the night before. He's like, all right, I'm going to go to Brewers, my favorite spot. I'm going to get my favorite breakfast, gear up. We're going to watch the Bulldogs. They're kicking off at noon. This is going to be great. And somebody interrupted that. And he was just not having it that day. He said, you know what? Not when I want to eat my omelet, and just went to town. And I really respect that.
You really got to think that whenever he came back to the table to meet his friends, he had to have changed his drink orders from a little bit of champagne and orange juice to a Bloody Mary.
Oh,
I thought you were leading somehow into an ad read that I was like, oh, this is a big build up. What's he going to do? I was getting real excited.
No ad read here, but we are going to transition into round number 6, which is our interview with Dr. Wilkes, who is a former lieutenant or former commander for the Navy and also still practicing medicine. He wrote a book called Code Red Fallujah, check that out. Check out the interview. It's going to start right now. Now at Zero Block 30, I'm privileged to have a former lieutenant commander. That's a Navy officer for those keeping score at home, and also a physician. His name is Donnelly Wilkes, and he has a private practice now, and he's out, but he's on the show because he recently published a book called Code Red Fallujah, and we constantly quote A Few Good Men on this story. And at the end of the episode, I'm going to ask all of our listeners if they ordered the Code Red, and the answer should be yes at that point. But Donnelly, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So your story is a little bit different. I was reading through some of the background, and it's not often that you see a Navy doctor that is an actual commissioned officer, an actual physician, receive a Valor device. And I was shocked when I read it because you just don't see that often. Did you know many other docs that received Valor awards?
Just a handful. And to be honest, I'm very proud of it. Thank you for acknowledging that. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. There's many, but as time went on and I realized what an important event the Battle of Fallujah was, that I just happened to be there and involved in it, that it was the most violent event of the entire 10-year Iraq War, and that it was pretty unique for a physician to be forward deployed as close to combat as I was. I decided to write the story for that and many other reasons. It
is a very unusual story, and those that are Marines and Navy folks, that a lot of our listeners are corpsmen as well, they know that it's not very usual. It is absolutely usual to have the enlisted corpsmen attached to Marine units being close, and you always have that. But to actually have the commissioned officers alongside isn't very usual. And we'll get to that in a minute, but I want to start out your story. I imagine your mom was furious after she graduated from University of Cal Irvine, went on to medical school at Tulane, and said that you were going to join the military. I can't imagine there's too many moms that once you are done with medical school are like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted you to pursue. Is that how it was for you?
I'm laughing because you're spot on. My mom's the best, and she'll hear this and she'll get a laugh out of it. But yeah, there was a tug of war between my mother and my father. I definitely followed, in my father's footsteps with the kind of the embrace of the adventure and call to duty, so to speak. And with that said, in the end, it was my decision. Mm-hmm. I knew what I was getting into to a certain extent. I'm sure you can appreciate the deployment to Fallujah and combat trauma was not in the brochure that the Navy recruiter handed me. In fact, there was no brochure for what I did because I joined pre 9/11. Right. And that's kind of one of the unique parts is that, I had to commit to the Navy scholarship before I entered medical school. So that was pre 9/11, and it was just it was a different world then.
And I don't think we've had anybody on the show that's been able to talk about the Navy Scholarship Fund for going to medical school, which is an unbelievable deal, really. If you are doing well in college and you're pursuing going to be a physician, it's almost a no-brainer to pursue through the military because you walk away after medical school with no bills, essentially, right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. And of course, you want to understand what you're getting into and what a life in the military is.
Because you could end up in Fallujah.
That's right. In fact, I went to Iraq twice. But it is an amazing deal. The deal has only become better and better as the years have gone on. So they're offering stipends and kind of upfront money in addition to paying all of medical school. So where my friends were coming out of Tulane with $200,000 to $300,000 debts, I had essentially zero. I took out a little extra, but I didn't have the immense load of that debt.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends here who is going to Walter Reed Medical School, and they say that they get paid like a sergeant. They get paid E5 pay while they're going to school, and they get all of their stuff paid for. It's a great, great deal. But like you said, eventually you move on and you go to active duty service. For you, you got to do a lot of your training, your initial training as a doctor residency at Camp Pendleton. Can you kind of describe what day-to-day life is like for a commissioned officer working in a family clinic?
Yes. So as soon as I graduated, there was 10, 15 of us at Tulane, the ceremony. We were cordoned off in a little side room. An officer comes in, we salute, we take the oath, and that's it. We are commissioned officers. And then within a few weeks, I had applied to and obtained, my preference of residency at Camp Pendleton, family medicine residency there. And so the day-to-day it's a lot like many residencies, and then it's completely different. The day-to-day clinical rotations are pretty similar. You rotate through the different specialties within the hospital. You then do other rotations down in San Diego at some of the bigger hospitals, so you can get some of the surgical specialty experience down there. And then the patients you take care of is what's much different. You're taking care of both active duty and their family members and dependents. And so you're experiencing what they go through as you care for them. And as a young physician who had really not spent much time in the military, initially, I didn't really understand what that was like. But as you get to know them and you're taking care of both husbands and wives with deployed members, you understand the hardships that they go through on a day-to-day basis as deployments come and go and things like that. And then, of course, there's the veterans that you're taking care of. And that was a real pleasure to meet them and understand and know their lives.
And then eventually you get attached to a unit that you find out is going to deploy. And I try to put myself in the position of the Marines that you were working with at the time. And I would have thought it was very unusual to have a commissioned officer who is actually a doctor alongside. What was the inoculation or the introduction to actual ground side Marine unit life what was that like for you?
It was kind of a shock. And that is the biggest difference between a civilian residency and a military residency. In civilian residencies, to practice medicine independently, you have to complete all 3 to 5 years in a row. You can't really, discontinue residency and practice independently. In the military, and this rule has since changed, by the way, they can pluck you after internship. So 1 year, that's what I did. Things in Iraq were heating up. I essentially was pulled from residency and attached to an infantry battalion. I did choose to do that in some ways. So in some ways it's my fault, instead of going blue side on a ship, I said, I want to go with the Marines. And then I, met with the detailer, and we had a sit down, so to speak. And he talked about what was happening. I talked a little bit about this in the book. And he made it very clear that he needed a couple physicians who could join an infantry battalion that was ramping up for deployment in short order because things were heating up in Iraq and the Anbar province. And I essentially knew that I was going to deploy. So I said, I'm ready, let's do it. And he stuck me with 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. And from then it's a whirlwind. The officers in the battalion were great. And there was definitely, there was an understanding that I came from a different world from all these Marine Corps officers and infantry enlisted personnel, but they need me as much as I needed them. And so they embraced me and helped me understand what it's like to be an infantry Marine.
And I imagine that going and doing something like this, I think everybody thinks it's sexy whenever you're a doctor to be in trauma care, ER and things like that. But really, if you've only did your residency for a year, comparatively to most doctors who are doing ER care on their own, you were vastly unprepared to do that, right?
I was a baby physician. And so in some ways you're correct. And that's why they've since changed this rule. But I do give a lot of credit to the Navy for putting me through the training that they did. I went to field medical school, spent days in the field, sometimes going through combat scenarios with everything from moulage, patients who were wounded, medevacs, helicopters. They would set off smoke and, fake bombs and make us understand what it's like to live in the field. And then I did my officer training out in Newport, Rhode Island. And then with the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, I joined them on their mock night raids out in Camp Pendleton in the middle of the night, going in on an attack position on a fake unit. And I'd be right there alongside them. And to what you said, you don't feel any different because you wear the same uniform.
Mhm.
Yes, I'm an officer, but I'm there for the same thing that they're there for. And there's kind of this understanding that you're special and you have certain skills that you're expected to provide. But in the end, you're just one of the boys, going to do the same job.
Yeah, you're absolutely right that you're just one of the boys that are one of the folks that are out there. Because for me, I would say that I was vastly unprepared too. There is nothing training wise that can prepare you for what you would see in something like the Battle of Fallujah in 2004. You could have done a million residencies and everything is different the moment that you get on the ground. When your unit starts rolling through Fallujah and you see what's going on in 2004, was there ever a time where you felt completely just overwhelmed at what you were seeing?
There was that time. And I think the reality hit in the chapter that describes the convoy from Kuwait, which is also pretty unique. Our entire battalion, mobilized in Kuwait, and 50 to 75 vehicles for 3 days headed up into Iraq. And when I woke
up armor, very bare vehicles, just not what you would see now. It was essentially talk about being unprepared. The military was unprepared for what was about to happen.
Back then, you're right. There was not a lot of up armor, and we were just getting the job done with what we had at the time. And anyways, I woke up in the back of the ambulance, creeped, up to the forward cab with my two corpsmen, and looked out on the horizon, and there's the black flaming oil rigs that Saddam had lit on fire that I had seen on CNN just a few weeks earlier, and thought, oh man, this is real. And then, to what you said, once the battalion invaded Fallujah and I pushed forward to the Cloverleaf, which is the tactical, highway overpass where we provided, we set up our battalion aid station and provided medical care. Nothing could have prepared me for those moments when wounded Marines were brought to me. I knew what to do, and we did a really good job, but nothing can fully prepare you for that moment.
Do you have any stories specifically, or any moments that you look back and you think, I wish I'd have done this differently, and now that I'm a more experienced doctor, I would have done this differently? Do you ever find yourself kind of Monday morning quarterbacking some of your actions?
I think any good physician does that. And that's what keeps you sharp, motivated, and always improving. So I would say yes. With that said, I'm fortunate that I don't have regrets about what we did and the actions that we took. I had to do some field surgical procedures that I never thought I'd have to do. And, I have some ER physicians who looked at me with wide eyes going, "You did what?" kind of thing. And, the senior corpsmen that were along with me, phenomenal, because they, helped guide me. They were my left and right hands when I needed them. So I think in the moment when it mattered, my training served me well. And I don't have any regrets about the care we provided when it mattered.
Can you give an example of one of those moments of you did what? Like what that would be kind of outside of the box?
Sure, you bet. So one example would be there's fighting in Iraq, and this was kind of a daily, routine that would be carried out usually sometime early in the morning when things are ramping up. Firefights break out. You hear a few grenades go off, and then we'll get a call over the radio that some injured Marines are coming in, or not, or they just Humvees flying out of Fallujah towards us. They pull up fast. A couple wounded Marines are brought out from the back of the vehicle. We get them on the litter stands. Sometimes we're just in the dirt. Initially, we didn't even have litter stands where we could have them up high. And there's one Marine who's...
And for those civilian listening, a litter is essentially like a stretcher, is what a civilian terms would be, like a stretcher.
Exactly. Thank you. And so get them on the stretcher and we start going to work. One Marine has superficial wounds to the extremities, doing okay. The other has a gunshot wound that entered the back of the head and exited through the forehead.
God.
So initially I'm looking at this Marine wondering how on earth, and he's breathing. He's still breathing. Of course, he's in critical condition, but he's still breathing. I know for a certainty that if he makes it, his quality of life will be next to none. Asking the good Lord if I should even do anything, because to be honest, prolonging life, there probably wasn't a whole lot of good that's going to come out of it.
And when you're talking about Marines that are in shape and love to have active duty life, that's probably going through your brain as well. Like once you're in that position, your quality of life going down to that degree is something that would be mentally devastating to most folks in uniform.
Yes. And so as the seconds are just ticking by here, the decision doesn't take me very long because, some of his Marines are right behind me looking on. Some of them are shouting, words of encouragement to their fallen brothers. And I realized very quickly that they need to see nothing less than an all-out effort. So if nothing more, I'm doing it for them because they just need to know that I'm going to do everything I can every time, no matter what. And the decision, it was clear then. It wasn't even mine to make. We just proceeded with all-out efforts. And so for that particular Marine, one of the procedures that we ended up doing is a surgical airway, also called a cricothyroidotomy. And essentially, you need, and it's a very difficult procedure to do in a controlled setting in an emergency room with adequate light and nurses and doctors, et cetera, let alone out in the battlefield. You have to take a scalpel. You have to make a surgical incision very carefully right below the Adam's apple through a thin membrane, get access into the airway, insert a small breathing tube down in there, inflate a little cuff around it to seal it off. And the reason we do this is because he starts choking and spitting up blood. I hope I'm not too graphic here. And he's bucking, and I know he's going to lose his airway because the blood's filling his airway. So that's the reason that we needed to do that procedure, basically to save his life at that moment so he could make it to the next level of care. And we did it, and it was successful. We secured that airway as the medevac was on its way. And we stabilized him for the moment, and we got him to the next level of care where they have surgeons and much more advanced equipment to continue to try to help him.
And when I went to Fallujah, I had the opportunity to talk to dog handlers who had done combat operations before or had been on like active bomb searching missions and things like that. So I kind of had a little bit of a mentorship program. Who in your field could you really rely on at that time to give you some sort of expectation?
Most of all that training, happened prior to deployment. So really anything as far as, hey, you need these set of skills to go, we did in advance. And so we worked with surgeons and practiced on pigs doing surgical airways and chest tubes and things like that.
Shotgun to the leg.
That's right. In my battalion, my fellow physician and former colleague from Tulane was with me. That was Lieutenant Cormac O'Connor. So he and we'd rotate at the Cloverleaf, one of us back at Camp Mercury, which was our, forward operating base a couple miles from Fallujah, one of us at the Cloverleaf. Once in a while, when the battle was surging, both of us would be at the Cloverleaf, and him and I would work together. Often we were on our own. And I guess to answer your question, the only other higher level of consultation we'd have would be a physician at a safer place, at the next echelon of care that we could radio from our base. We really didn't have much contact out at the Cloverleaf. We were pretty much on our own.
That's fucking scary, man. And so I tell a story about Bill Gates, and Bill Gates, obviously a very smart guy, and he reads like these almost reference books on the daily where his assistant will load up a grocery bag full of books and he'll just he's a power reader. So he'll go through, and he said that his brain works almost like a filing cabinet where when he needs something, he can go into a filing cabinet inside his brain and pull it out and have that knowledge. When you're in the middle of something like the Battle of Fallujah, I imagine sleep deprivation was a huge thing for you all as well, the physicians on the ground. Did you ever have a moment where you're like, I can't believe I'm remembering how to do this right now, where it's almost like divine intervention, where it pops into your brain, this is how you do this procedure?
I did. Because as you can imagine, and there were times when we were working on Marines when I was distracted by what was going on behind me, a bomb would go off. And you may have read in the book, we got hit at the Cloverleaf with missiles a couple times and mortars right in our vicinity, just maybe, I don't know how close, but they were probably only 50 yards away because they knocked us on our feet. And there was a couple times when Marines were brought in with, life-threatening injuries. And, I'd go into brief, momentary shell shock, so to speak, where my mind gets a little soupy. And then within a really short amount of time, it just kind of clicks in. You're training, you've been there before, you've got the skills, they're tucked right there. And it just takes a couple moments and it clicks in and you access that filing cabinet and you just start at step one because you know what step one is. There, you just got to make yourself move. And as we've heard with many, first responders over the years and post 9/11, when you're under pressure, when you're under fire, so to speak, more people than you'd think perform well. They reach back, they dig deep, and they do what they know how to do. And so nothing was different out there. Plus, we had, I had the support of my Navy corpsmen around me, people who knew what to do to keep us moving forward if we were scared or shocked or just needed, encouragement.
And I don't want to give too much away about like the actual operations that you guys did, because I want the listeners to actually pick up the book. But have you found, like for me, for example, now that I'm out of the Marine Corps and I've moved on, there is elements of those trauma-induced moments that have been greatly beneficial to me as a father, as a husband, as a homeowner, where you still kind of have that ability when things are getting crazy to slow it down. And for me, like I feel like I have that ability where if things are getting wild, I can just slow my brain down and really take things in and make things move slower. I imagine that was greatly beneficial for you as you've moved on to your practice, because once you survive Fallujah and you've done these things in the field, it's a lot easier when you're back in California.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. And I've drawn on that quite a bit. The experience that I gained in the Navy as a physician, my opinion is second to none. I think my training, both in residency and outside of residency, was excellent. And I've drawn on it quite extensively because you grow up quick in the military. That's just the way it is. And they treated Navy physicians no differently, both in residency and outside of it. You're just given a lot of responsibility quickly. And as long as you perform and can accept the responsibility and take it on, you're granted a lot of accolades and success. And then they bring it on to the next level of responsibility. So when I came back, I was, transferred to Port Hueneme and immediately put in charge of that entire clinic. And I was ready for it. And
that's even though you only had 1 year of like post-college residency, right? Like that, it's crazy.
Now, I should give the caveat. When I returned, after I finished my 2-year stint with the Marines, I had to finish my 2 years of residency.
Okay.
And as soon as that was done, I transferred to Port Hueneme and was in charge of the clinic, which was still a big responsibility for when I was a brand new full doctor with the Marines in Fallujah. I was still just kind of an intern grad.
And if you had anybody, because we have a lot of listeners that are going through the school process right now, somebody that's kind of on the fence about joining military medicine, what would your advice to them be?
My advice would be talk to the people who have been there and done it and had a variety of experiences, because, they're the best testimony to what you might experience. Understand what a life in the military is like. Understand that there's going to be great opportunity, great training. You will be highly sought after in whatever you do afterwards, because I think the reputation of military medicine in all of the branches is well known. And I've seen that time and time again in my career.
Now, one last question for a doctor. How in the hell do you guys remember all those crazy names? Like the one that he talked about going through the trach. Did you always have that ability to, because my kid's doctor will call me like, oh, remind me what medicine they're on. And I'll be like, hydro, and they'll just spit it out. How do you guys do that? How do you remember all the technical names that have like Latin derivations? How do you do it?
I suppose it really becomes a second language. You know, you had to probably take, Spanish or French in high school, and you do it for a few years. You get quite a bit of it. Well, it really starts in college when you kind of are in that pre-med pathway. And a lot of the, biology and physiology, physics terms have those roots. So it becomes a second language. And the truth is, once you hit medical school, it's just brute memorization. You live it day in and day out, and everybody around you talks it. It'd be like going through a foreign country where you're immersed in the language.
Yeah. And so do you know when you can start just spitting those things out as you're reading them, and you don't have to like break it down like syllable by syllable, like you're watching Reading Rainbow again? Is that when you first feel like, hey, I can actually be a physician? I could do this. Yeah.
Every good physician will tell you there's a time when you have to fake it a little bit. And that can be just acting like you know what you're doing, talking like you know what you're doing. And
that's half of everything. Just being confident, just spitting it out there.
Exactly. And then the next thing you do is you might leave the room, take a moment, look something up if you need to, consult a senior physician, come back and talk to the patient and give them the plan as if it was all your own. And that's okay. That's what, mentorship is all about when you're a physician and seeking the correct supervision, but acting confident and not giving a sense of fear or that you don't know what you're doing.
That's what I always tell the politicians that come on the show. I'm like, you guys act like you know everything about everything, and I know you're just full of shit. Like you don't. Like you're just making it up half the time, and you hope nobody hears the recording whenever you're wrong in 5 years. But I guess it wouldn't matter. Well, go pick up the book, Code Red Fallujah. Make sure you check it out. Lots of super interesting stories from a very different perspective that we usually don't hear stuff, especially about the Battle of Fallujah. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
You bet. And if you want to reference any kind of website where Code Red Fallujah, everything is at, it's coderedfallujah.com.
There you go.
Thanks for having me. Much.
Appreciate it, Doc. Thanks.
Bye.
Honest to God, I was texting Kyle with this earlier because he has a Navy Commendation Medal with Valor. I can't imagine there's more than 10 doctors since the war started who have Valor Awards. Obviously there's been a lot of surgeons and things like that who do unbelievable work, and there's plenty of soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen who still have their limbs, who still have their lives because of the heroic efforts that they make in the medicinal world. But there is a certain qualification that you have to get in order to get a Valor Award, and to do that as a physician, very unlikely. And so the position that he was put in was very extreme. And to hear his stories about it and to read some of them in his book, this is a book that you're going to want to pick up, because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of military books out there that talk about what grunts and snipers and SEALs and Rangers and all those folks do. This is a totally different perspective on battle. Being there with the rounds going down range and having the wherewithal to put in a trach in that moment while mortar rounds are still flying. What corpsmen and what doctors like this do, and how they can keep their wits about them to perform something incredibly technical that you would struggle to do in an ER setting, is amazing. It's just legitimately amazing.
Just the idea of, depending on the actual physical location of the person that you're treating, you're really essentially just giving up your body to the enemy. But to then, as you said, just maintain your wits and continue to treat the individual.
He talked about in some spots where he was doing like combat surgery, they didn't even have like a stretcher to put people on. He was doing straight up ER type surgeries on the ground in the dirt in Fallujah while the Battle of Fallujah raged on behind him. Like that's wild. Fucking insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have trouble driving over the GW bridge if there's like a motorcycle on it. I'm like, ooh.
I get pissed if Comcast like changed my fucking date that they're going to start my internet. I just get upset about it. But they're going to get it right. I trust that they're going to get it right. Let's move on to save rounds and alibis. Kyle, we'll start with you.
Everyone should go check out our YouTube and subscribe to it. Mm-hmm. We're going to start doing a lot more on the old YouTube channel just because I think video is fun. And
I'm going to interrupt you there, Kyle, because this is something I want feedback from the listeners about. So we've been talking about it a little bit. We've been trying Clubhouse. I fucking hate Clubhouse, honestly.
Yeah.
Like we'll keep it going if people enjoy it. But we're thinking about doing our Monday shows the same way that we've been doing Thursday shows. We might start doing them live on YouTube, where if you listen to the show, you can watch us do it. And there's also a comment section. So if you have a question or a comment about what we're talking about in that moment, well, you can throw it up on the YouTube channel. Kyle will flag those while we're recording, and then we can address those at the end, something like that. Let us know if that's something that you guys would be interested in, because that's something that we're tossing around. But if nobody says anything, then we're not going to fucking do it. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not doing that shit.
Not doing extra shit.
No.
Nobody cares.
But so check it out. I want to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I just like round numbers. That's a good one. We're like,
me too, pal.
Like 3,500 away.
Yeah, we're 35000.
Comma.
Interesting.
We'll get it later. But yeah, check out YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe. Leave nice comments though. Comments on YouTube, you guys don't look at them if you want to feel good about yourself.
Yeah, I get it, everyone. I know I have a tooth that sticks out a little. Okay, I'm aware. All right.
We've gotten that Chaps doesn't know anything about dogs from like the Malinois video from months ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would disagree with that.
Yeah, I would too.
I'm sorry if it's in the comments, then it's too late.
It's true. Sorry, chaps. Sorry to discredit your entire military career.
Yeah.
I've been getting so many comments about the dog walk thing, like the pressure point tip that I gave out. Somebody commented like, "You don't know shit. That doesn't work." I'm like, is it that I don't know shit, or that you don't know how to do it?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's make sure there's a clear distinction there.
Yeah. But so leave nice comments. Be nice to us, especially Connor. He's about to get married. We need to gas him up.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a Harry Styles fan and you're also the big crossover of Harry Styles and ZBT.
Yeah.
So please give me a break for the love of God.
You need to embrace it, Kate. Just let it go. Just objectify that man so hard. So hard.
All right,
I would.
What about you, pal?
I started watching Young Rock on NBC. It's a good show. It's nifty. It kind of is telling the story of The Rock, and it's very interesting how it's planting the seed for his potential presidential run. Because in the show, it bounces between different timelines in his life, and current day in the show is 2032, where he's running for president. So it's like a very subtle way that he's kind of just putting it in the American people's brains that I might think about doing this one day. So if you're looking for a new show, that's not bad. I like sitcoms that I can enjoy from every now and again. And then, so obviously this week was St. Patrick's Day, and President Biden on St. Patrick's Day, I noticed he was wearing a tie with the clovers. Got it.
And a brown suit. You would have thought that he would have known from Obama's big snafu that that's not the way to go.
Yeah. But then in his breast pocket, instead of a pocket square, he had a bunch of clovers. And initially I thought, I've never seen that before. Is that interesting? Do I like that, or is that terrible? And then Kyle really brought me to my senses, and he's like, he has weeds in his pocket. And yes, in fact, that's what I landed on. It looked incredibly stupid that he had just a bunch of weeds sprouting out of his pocket.
Oh,
now
it's
I can't.
fun. Okay.
No, hold on. Now I'm picturing every morning he just goes and walks around the yard of the White House and just picks up different things and puts them in his
some
pocket.
good ones today, Jim.
Well, he probably fucking think he's walking Champ, even though Champ's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody tell the president his dogs are gone.
That's all I got.
All right, Kate, what about you?
Nothing. I don't have anything. Just saying hello, everybody who listens, and I love you guys.
We need to get some Barstool Sports.
A nice hello to the listener.
I know.
An hour and a half in, Kate gives a good hello to the listener.
I know, because if I'm not doing it, if this is my last one, who knows? I'm gonna miss everybody for a while, and
that's true.
just have much love to the listeners. So
That's true. We'll have to bring back Kate's Corner where you just have like the baby crying for like 20 minutes.
okay. I
Yeah,
like
just
that.
send me like 10 minutes of you talking and I'll just pipe it in wherever I feel like.
I will.
You
certainly
should
will.
for real have like rant moments that you record, like when you're
Yes.
super frustrated, like go to your closet and just do a rant, and then we can include that. The hate corner.
Also, do you think, because some of the editors from Barstool reached out and they're like, what are you going to do when you have the baby? Do you want us to do some sort of announcement or some sort of blog? Do you want to whatever? And I've been toying with the idea of like posting while I'm in labor,
You're going to live tweet your birth?
I'm so concerned that at this point you still think that that's something that you would physically be able to do.
But I think I could.
If you can, I'll like you would have so much street cred for your toughness if you have the wherewithal to be typing out in fucking WordPress what's going on while you're having a baby. That's extreme.
Yeah, it's a long ass process. And I think my room's going to have Wi-Fi. I checked. And so it's like, what the fuck else am I going to do?
Well, sometimes you'll just disappear from the group chat and chaps, Kyle and I will be going and going and going. We get nothing from you, even when we're asking for input.
Yeah.
So the idea that you're just going to just randomly be tweeting and talking about all
offensive,
of this.
Really. It's offensive. It is. But does that make me, my question is, does that make me like a shitty person though? Is that like exploiting the kid or the birth?
I think it's, I mean,
I think it makes you a bit of a hardo.
Okay.
No, I disagree because I can imagine the things that you're going to post would be ridiculous. And it might be one of those moments where, usually it's after a night of heavy drinking where you log on and you're like, oh, fuck, I can't believe I said all those things. You might be in like a cloud of pigpen style anger and scared that you anger post too much. And you're later, whenever you're holding the baby, you're like, I wish I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I
just
actually
in the end
don't hate this quote motherfucker piece of shit.
Yeah, you're right. Pat might take some heat in the moment when I just want to be holding up my placenta with
Kate's gonna
too much.
I'm glad you went with placenta, the first
mucus plug.
Oh yeah,
holding up my plug.
Did you get your plug and put it in like one of those little mason jars that they have at Hobby Lobby and wear it as like a necklace?
Okay.
Or
what Billy Bob?
What if you auction off pieces of your placenta?
Oh, come on
Etsy, and so you can have like. I don't really have anything for save rounds for me.
We do have the Barstool Blockers this weekend with the start of March Madness.
Oh yeah, root on Georgetown because if Georgetown wins, then me and Cons get to split a little bit of a Bitcoin, which would be incredible. Mm-hmm. And when we get done recording, I get to go pick up my Billy Goat vacuum.
Whoa.
What in the heck is that?
I had to look it up too.
A Billy Goat vacuum is like a lawnmower vacuum that instead of raking up all your leaves, you run it over and it is a vacuum that sucks up all the leaves, acorns, little sticks and stuff.
Got it.
And then you can just put them in a burn barrel. Okay. Amazing.
I didn't know that's what the name was.
Yeah.
Dads love their kids.
Well, I would hate to be a baby rabbit in your yard. My goodness.
Or a brown snake.
Or a mouse pumped full of Tylenol.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, if they do, I'll take those Tylenol because those shits ain't cheap.
No.
They are cheap. All right. We'll see you on Tuesday down the retreat.